In this lesson, we're going to be, or in this session rather, we're going to be covering question 16 of our business analysis practice sample paper, or sample paper 1 rather. Okay, so what we have here is it says that we have possibly a business analyst called Derivka. And it says she is explaining to a project manager how divergent and convergent thinking could help the project they are working on. The project manager asks what the output of the activities would be. What is the best answer for Derivka to give? Then we have 4 answers here, and of which we have to select one because it says the best. That's in the instructions there. And A is a manageable set of ideas to take forward. B is all the ideas generated relating to both the problem and the solution. C is a defined set of business outcomes. And D is a defined set of delivery actions. Okay, so what we usually do first is, or in my process or methodology of answering these questions, I first like to try and identify what the technique is or the area of knowledge that they're actually asking us on from the syllabus. So in this case, the first thing that I can identify when I read through this is divergent and convergent thinking. So from your business analysis studies, you should know that divergent and convergent thinking is an area of knowledge that we should know about. And then what do we know about this area of knowledge? What do we know about divergent and convergent thinking? So we first have to look back to our studies and think back to what we remember about these specific concepts. And then we have to try and apply it to the specific situation. And then the answer will reveal itself to us. So divergent and convergent thinking is a way of looking at ideas or developing solutions when we are stuck or we are at a point in our project or our assignment where we don't know how to proceed. So this often usually takes place within the context of design thinking. So there's a specific design thinking model, which is let's say a defined set of stages or a model that we can follow when we want to generate ideas for our business. So if we are in an organization or a business and the organization doesn't know how to proceed, it doesn't have a solution, it doesn't know what to do in the context of the situation. It may have a particular problem that may have been identified through other business analysis work, or it may just want to find solutions or areas for improvement in its organization. So we can use it, and stakeholders in the organization can use it, or we can use it together. We can facilitate the process of design thinking to generate ideas and then start focusing in on solutions, real solutions for the business. But within the context of design thinking, there is that double diamond model, which goes through the divergent and the convergent, and then the divergent and the convergent thinking within that double diamond model. So then if we think about what is divergent thinking and what is convergent thinking. So what they are is it's a way of us thinking, let's say, applying the way that we think to a particular problem or to generating a solution. It's an approach towards generating ideas. So when we don't have any idea, we don't have anything on the table, we want to start with divergent thinking. So divergent thinking, we set the context where we need to start allowing for the flow of creativity, expanding our knowledge, allowing the creative thinking process to be given enough resources and area to expand on ideas, generate ideas, expand on ideas, and think outside the box. So contextually, it's an expansive, it's an empowering, a flowing approach to the way that people are thinking. And within this context, we're very open to any ideas. So there's no criticism, there's no judgment. We're just thinking about all the ideas. We're thinking about everyone's perspectives, and we're thinking about how we can expand on these. There's nothing that has particularly been analyzed about these ideas. There's no specifics or nothing has been ruled out. It's just a free-flowing process of allowing ideas to flow. So that's divergent thinking. If we think of it, diverging as going out. So we're expanding our mind and going out. But the more we diverge our thinking and we expand our thought process, the less we actually, the more we move away from focusing in on a particular solution. Because the more creativity that you allow for, you end up going into other areas and looking at areas of the business which may not necessarily be a viable solution. So that's what divergent thinking is. It's thinking about what can we do to solve this? What can we do to solve this problem, and expanding it out. But now convergent thinking is now roping all of these ideas back in. It now starts putting more control on this thought process so that we can start focusing in on the ideas that actually work, that are viable, and what really is going to improve the business or solve this particular problem. So contextually, these two things are different and they need to be facilitated that way. So in divergent thinking, we facilitate openness, we empower people to think creatively, we allow for flow, there's no judgment or criticism, less control. But within convergent thinking, there's more control. We start looking at the specifics, the details, and we're much more reflective and analytical. And we shut down more ideas and focus on what the ideas that have been generated from divergent thinking, but we start focusing in on them and start having this critical eye on these ideas and what can be done. So we evaluate it in the convergent thinking and start focusing in on what really can be done and which solution needs to be selected. And we'll ask different questions in these two approaches. So we may be asking, what can we do to solve this in the divergent thinking approach? And in the convergent thinking approach, we may be asking questions like, will this work and how will it work? So the divergent is more about the what can be done, and the convergent thinking is about how can it be done. But it's more specifically, it's how will it work? In convergent thinking, we ask, how will it work? And how will this idea work in the context of the business? And is this particular solution or idea a viable idea? Can it be done? Or can it be achieved? So, and it's all about the problems and the solutions. So we may be thinking more in terms of what solutions can solve the problems in divergent thinking. And then in convergent thinking, we're thinking about the problems that could occur from these particular solutions. So there needs to be two approaches. And then ultimately, at the end of this process, at the end of the convergent thinking process, we'll have the output, which is a set of viable solutions that have been analyzed and they are clear. So we'll present these to the stakeholders of the business, and we'll say to them, this is what we've come up with, and maybe we need to go through another diamond or another flow in order to focus even further in on a solution. So we'll take that idea and then go divergent and think about what more can be done to it from a creative perspective on that particular choice, and then we'll then converge again and really focus in on the detail. But at the end of the divergent thinking process, the output should be a manageable set of ideas. So the whole point of divergent and design and convergent thinking is about generating ideas. And at the end of divergent thinking, we should have a whole range of different options and ideas that we can then, in convergent thinking, start looking at each of these ideas and focusing in on these. So now let's look back to our question, and we see that once again, let's just read it just to get the context once again. We know now what divergent and convergent thinking is from our studies, and Rivka, the business analyst, is explaining to a project manager how divergent and convergent thinking could help the project that they are working on. The project manager asked what the output of the activity would be. What is best? So the instructions are, what is the best answer for Rivka to give? So what we need to do is from these 4 options here is select what the output of this activity would be. So we know that the output is going to be related to ideas. It's not going to be related to anything else. It's not any tangible output such as a product as part of a project or anything like that. The whole context is about generating ideas. So let's see if we can eliminate any here. So if we look at A, it says a manageable set of ideas to take forward. That's a viable option, and it could be the correct answer. B, all the ideas generated relating to both the problem and the solution. This one also sounds similar and is also related to ideas. So we'll put those aside, and because they are talking about ideas, both of these could potentially be the correct answer. Then if we look at C, a defined set of business outcomes. Now, what we know from the design thinking process and part of divergent and convergent thinking is that there's no specific business outcome. We haven't built the solution yet. We don't have a specific solution to actually present to the stakeholders or the executives of the business yet. And then D, a defined set of delivery actions. So why would we have a set of real actions if the whole process is about generating ideas? So we can eliminate from this, we can eliminate C and D. Now if we look at A and B, all the ideas generated relating to both the problem and the solution. Okay, so the problem and the solution, all the ideas generated relating to both the problem and the solution. So this is incorrect, because what we are really looking for with design thinking or divergent and convergent thinking is we're mainly looking for solutions. And we're not going to take all the ideas forward, because some of the ideas that are generated through the design thinking approach may be eliminated. We may have, through that thought process, actually taken some of those ideas here. But what they're saying is the output from this, because if we've gone through the divergent and the convergent thinking approach through the diamond, we know that the convergent thinking, the application of convergent thinking would have evaluated all the options and eliminated some of those ideas. So all the ideas is actually incorrect. We won't take everything forward because it's just a waste of time. But if we look at A, it says a manageable set of ideas to take forward. So divergent thinking, we'll think about everything. Convergent thinking, we'll evaluate it, analyze it, and the output will be a set of manageable ideas. So what can really be done and what can we take forward through this thought process and into a solution development approach. So A is the correct answer, and because it says the instructions is what is the best answer, A to me is the best answer here. So I think A is the correct answer. So I hope that's given you a little bit of a bit of context and a look into divergent and convergent thinking. And if you ever get any questions that are similar to this, then I hope that'll help you. So I'll see you in the next question.